Okay, I'm going to just be upfront with you. A lot of the stuff that I am going to explain may be a little bit difficult to understand, comprehend, or put together. And I'm trying my best to put it together so that it's understandable. One thing that does help me is I kind of go into a daydream or close your eyes, and whatever images or things pop up in your head could help you understand, because really it's the idea behind the words, which are just symbols, to explain something that can't be explained. So as I'm thinking about these masculine and feminine energies, thinking about the power that I found in the feminine forcing, the force is the masculine aspect, but it's like a power of attraction, allowing it to come in. It's the receiving. Then I got this thought in my head. It was about my eyes. I started thinking about how we always look out at surfaces. Yes, I know there's a reflection in the back of our eyes, but that's not what I'm referring to. We look out and we see surfaces. And I just thought, shouldn't we be able to see the other direction as well? And I know this sounds bizarre. I was thinking about if I can look backwards, it's almost like I could also look backwards in objects. Meaning, if I'm looking at a dresser, I see the surface of the dresser looking out. But if I were to go backwards in myself, I could go backwards in the dresser and see inside of the dresser. But it's not something I'm forcing myself to do. Rather, it is something I'm allowing myself to receive. Like, receive information backwards. I receive information backwards in the dresser. Same with anything that's surface. So like walls, houses, trees, people. Look at myself in the mirror. I can see inside of myself, like my lungs, my organs. And this would be because I'm not only forcing the energy out, like looking out, right? And seeing the surface. Sense of allowing the surface to look inward, including in me. And then it hit me that that's what it would be like if you were seeing a fourth dimension. So I'm thinking about this, and I sat down and pulled a tarot reading. I was super tired. The first oracle card I got basically said you need to rest. The second one I got said that there's information that's going to come to you. I thought, well, maybe something will come to me when I lay down. So I lay down on the couch with meditation music on. One thing that often happens to me when I go into a meditative state, even though my intention this time was to take a nap, is that I will see objects, and they're real, like, touchable. I've gone to other locations, and it freaked me out when it happened. Go to part. So I'm laying there with the meditation music on in a state right before sleep. I see this wooden butterfly. In the middle of the wooden butterfly is this round symbol. I don't know what it was a symbol of, but it was circular. And then all of a sudden, I could see it in 4D. I could see through it and behind it, like I had perspectives from all sides and inside. And I don't really know what happened after that. When I woke up, finished pulling the tarot cards, and I was just like blown away by the message, because it totally confirmed the things that I have been thinking about. See, my thoughts are that this millennium, some certain religions were talking about, golden age that certain religions talk about, of Aquarius, and some of the cities that have disappeared from this earth, myths that you hear about, and what's referred to as the kingdom of God in the Bible, that is referred to as within you in the Bible, is in this other dimension, or that's part of it, or we would see like that. You see, because the way we perceive in the third dimension, we have these boundaries, like surfaces that we can't move past. But if you were to move in the direction of the fourth dimension, it would be like we disappeared to the third dimension. I know there's some religions that believe in this, what they call rapture, like in Christianity. In the Mormon religion, they believe that you will be lifted up and the dead will be raised. But you see, all of these are stories. Stories to explain something that's hard to explain. It's hard to explain from one dimension to a lower dimension, the other dimension. But here's the thing. If we were able to access this fourth dimension, there would be so much more space. and resources and the ability to do things you can't do in the third dimension. Like travel would be so different. Basically, you could teleport. You could walk through things that seem solid to us. You could dodge bullets if there was bullets coming at you. And some have speculated that time is the fourth dimension, which it could be. The way I kind of have an idea of it is that time is not the fourth dimension, but that time is multidimensional, just like space. And we see it as 2D right now, like a line, like that goes forwards, you can't go back because you run into something. But actually, if you had access to the other dimensions of time, you could go anywhere in time. Really, the only time that exists is right now. So these are all ideas that I've had. And then the tarot reading confirmed that I would figure out how to have all these resources. How to access the fourth dimension. Go to part 6. I got the thought, I'm sure that there's probably other people who have described what it would be like to live in the fourth dimension. I looked on YouTube and I watched this video where they think that the fourth dimension is time, which it could be. But anyway, in this video, they described so much of how I see it, that you would be able to see through everything, like the backside, the inside. They said because everything would be more like spherical. They said that you could teleport, have telepathy, see colors that you don't see. You can watch it if you want to find out. And I also watched this one with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've watched that one before, but the one up above talks about what our bodies and our brains would have to be like to comprehend it. I also say that we could never do it because of a barrier. This is important. Not because we can never do it, but there's something that I understand that I want to explain. But a couple things. Our irises would have to be like donuts, spherical. This is interesting because this would allow us to see in all directions. So yes, even scientists agree with a lot of the things that I say about what the fourth dimension would be like. And as far as the boundaries, the barriers, they say, well, we couldn't actually see the fourth dimension because you would need, for instance, these spherical irises. We'd have to have so much more active in our brain, and our brain would have additional parts. Okay, so first thing that came to my mind. So you think that we couldn't because we don't have these? You know we don't have these because if they were four-dimensional, we wouldn't see them in the three-dimensional. We already have these things. We don't see them because we are seeing in 3D. Therefore, we think we don't. I also talked about another ice barrier to the universe. I didn't really pay attention to it, but you can watch it because I didn't think it mattered, actually. And the reason why. In 3D, we see all these barriers to things, to ourselves, to objects. If we were seeing in 4D, there would not be barriers. One of the videos, it talks about how we could see the thoughts of people. We could see how they were feeling. We wouldn't need words because they'd be too slow. We would use telepathy. So how do we gain access? Well, this is where that masculine-feminine energy ties into this. Go to part 7, I think. Here is what I understand about being able to experience and be fourth dimensional. You would have to understand that all the borders that you see are not borders. So the outline of your body, the outline of everything that you see, the solidity of it. You would have to realize that you're not limited to this body. You're more than this body. Just like we have access to the borders, the third dimension, we can touch them, pick them up. We would also have access to the inside by going inside of ourselves. You'd have to realize that what you see is also you. You have access to it immediately by going inside. When I say inside, I'm thinking about the other direction, the fourth dimensional direction. So then I asked, well, what is making the borders? What is making us perceive the borders? And I realized that it's fears. It's fear that something can harm you or someone. That gives us the state of being where we think we can be destroyed, where we think we can die. So not being afraid will help us see past the borders. And allowing in, receiving, allows us to have the access to the resources within. I've listened to lectures explaining this concept with math to get a better grasp on them, to explain them. Basically, the world that you see is also the world within you. And so rather than going and doing, traveling to that object, it's basically allowing yourself to reach back into yourself for the object. It's faster because you're already there. This is how we would be able to teleport, because our body would literally disappear from third dimensional sight. What I realized is that what's going on is always looking out and taking action to get. You could say that feminine energy of receiving, allowing ourselves to go in, allowing ourselves to receive, has been repressed, actually feared. Because of the fear, I see it as evil, negative. Why there's the story of Lilith, this baby-eating demon, and why we see what we call evil in the world. If we allowed and had absolutely no fear, we would not see it that way. We would not see the world that way. Talking literally. Anything that you're scared of, try to understand it. Realize that it's you. And stop trying to work so hard to get things. Realize that they can come to you because you already have them within you. Sure, I'll get more information. I've got some understanding, but I'll let you know more as it comes.